Hello, everyone. Welcome in and welcome to episode 4 of my Final Fantasy podcast, The Eidolon Wall. And today we're going to be because it's April and April Fool's Day has recently passed. We're going to be talking about the Joker of the series. We're going to be talking about, and I don't mean Joker as in pranks. I mean Joker as in the Joker of the series, the Harlequin of Havoc, the Clown of Chaos, the Jester of Genocide. The Jester of Genocide. We're going to be talking about Kefka Palazzo, one of the most notable villains in the series. Said by many to be the greatest villain in the series. And there's a lot going for Sephiroth with not Sephiroth. There's a lot going for Kefka that that really that justifies that theory of people, justifies that preference of people, that it justifies that belief that he is the most dangerous villain in the series, and in a way he is. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about, his origins. I'm going to be talking about his personality. We're going to go in depth into Kefka, and who he is behind the makeup. Who he is behind the makeup, behind the maniacal laughter, behind the sheer lust for power and destruction. And Kefka is honestly he's an interesting character. He honestly is an interesting character. Because when you first see him, you think he's just some random kind of eccentric. You first see him as some eccentric leader in the Gestalt Empire in Final Fantasy VI, but it's not long until you soon discover that he's a lot more twisted. He's definitely a lot more twisted than he's definitely a lot more twisted than he first appears. Like some of the stuff he does. Again, at first he seems harmless. He seems eccentric. You think, okay, this guy's definitely got a few screws loose. He's eccentric. Nothing to really worry about. And when you fight him in Final Fantasy VI, he doesn't come off as that much of a threat. He doesn't come off as that strong. Um, but he is honestly a very strong character. Like he's he's a very powerful magic user, and even his sprite where it's multicolored, there's a lot of green to it, and he looks like a harlequin. It definitely adds to the whole the whole persona, that the whole image that he's got from people, where he seems just like a harmless clown, like Jester from Devil May Cry. You assume that he's harmless, like that from Devil May Cry 3. You first see him, you assume, yeah, he's mysterious, but you assume he's harmless. You assume there's nothing. You assume that there's nothing to really worry about with him. But of course, like I said, later in the game, as the game goes on, we do see the twistedness behind him. Look in the chat as well. I see Amber. Hello, Amber, and hello, Rat4. What was the correct English wording? Batshit crazy. Yes, you do find out that Kefka is batshit crazy, and this is also a lot to do with. This is also a lot to do with what happened to him, because Kefka is Kefka is the he's in Final Fantasy VI. There's this process Kefka in Final Fantasy VI. There's this process that they were doing to where they were trying to excuse me, I apologize. But yeah, in Final Fantasy VI, there was this process they were trying to do where they were trying to use Magitech experiments to infuse people with Magitech to make them more powerful. Unfortunate, and Kefka was the first. Kefka was the first one of this. He was the first subject of these experiments. He was the first experimental Magitech knight. And it worked to an extent. it worked to an extent. It gave him the ability to cast magic. It gave him the ability to cast magic, to harness magic. Unfortunately, at the time, the process was not complete, and it's because of this process that his mind became damaged. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's because of this process that his mind became damaged. Um, his mind became damaged, transforming him into the destructive madman that many people many people know him. Like, many, that anyone who's played 5 by 6 will know him as. And he definitely is a very destructive. He is all about the destruction. He's all about the chaos, the havoc, he's all about just raising things to the ground. And and because his mind was so twisted, he became famous in the empire, or infamous as you might say, because he became cruel. He became infamous because because his mind was damaged. He became cruel. He became manipulative. He lost all morals to the point where he would even murder women and children with no actual regard for their lives, no actual regard for the innocence of children, for the purity of women. Like he definitely he definitely like yeah, he definitely became famous for his cruelty, his sadism, his manipulative nature. These and this is all, and again, this is all because of the Magitech experiments that were placed upon him, that he went through. And looking in the chat as well, I see Bronx has come in about my giant DB head. Hello, welcome in, Bronx. Welcome in. Bye bye ads. Yes, but and this sadism definitely adds to to Kefka's character, because like any good a lot of villains that people like, people like the sadists. They like the characters that you know I like, a lot of people don't like the characters the evil villains that the sympathetic villains, the sympathetic villains, the ones you feel sorry for, the ones you relate to. Kefka is I would say Kefka is mostly loved because of the fact that he's not a sympathetic villain. He's not a villain you feel sorry for. He's a villain you look at and go, yeah, he's batshit crazy. He is fucking insane. Like, he is absolutely knucking futs. Like, he is again, he's sadistic, he's cruel, he's manipulative. And and these behaviors that Kefka has gone through soon alienated him from the soldiers. He gained the Emperor's appreciation and trust, but excuse me, apologies. He gained the Emperor's because of his cruelty, his sadism, his manipulation. He quickly gained the Emperor's trust and appreciation, but he alienated himself from the Imperial soldiers, and they follow him not out of trust or loyalty, but out of fear, because they know that he will just kill them without a second thought. He will just kill them without a second thought. And Kefka's cruelty and manipulation can be seen very early on in the game. Can actually be seen in the prologue of the game, because in the prologue of the game we see him put a slave crown on Terra, thus taking over her mind and controlling her will and her mind. I can't stop yawning. I am very sorry, guys. I'm very sorry. I can't stop yawning. It's been in a day. But yeah, we quickly see him. We quickly see him. Put the slave collar on Terra, controlling her mind, and the first thing he does is make her burn 50 Imperial soldiers. First thing he orders to do, again with no regard for human life, he orders her to burn 50 Imperial soldiers as a test of his control over her. And again, he does this with no regard. I'm pretty sure Kefka would just laugh it off, because because he honestly does not care. Like, he honestly does not care about human life. He just wants his destruction. He just wants his death, his destruction, his chaos, his havoc. He just wants to see everything burn. And again, it definitely, it all adds to the fact that Kefka is a messed up individual, primarily because of the Magitech experiments. But yeah, but he is, in for what a better word, messed up. I get why I'm yawning so much. So, um, and yeah, and so as you go through the game, you see more of Kefka's maniacal like state. You know, some of the things he does, for example, like and just and even the complete total disrespect for even the Emperor as well. Like like Emperor Gastal did a war speech, and um yeah, many yeah, Emperor Gastal did a war speech, and pretty much all of his officers saluted the Emperor, but Kefka he didn't bother making Terra salute the Emperor. Like, and I'm pretty sure Kefka doesn't salute him either. Kefka, he has no respect for others. Like, he has complete disregard and disrespect for others. And again, his disregard for human life is also shown again in the prologue, where he sends Terra along with Biggs and Wedge to the snowy town, the mining town of Narsh, to recover a frozen Esper, and And Kefka has no problems with Biggs and Wedge just attacking the town. He's got no problems with it. He's got no qualms with it. If anything, it was most likely his idea. And yeah, it's definitely again, it out adds to Kefka's insanity and disregard for human life. I would generally say he's very Machiavellian. You know, he doesn't care who he manipulates. He doesn't care who he uses, whose feelings he hurts, who he ends up backstabbing, who ends up, betraying. He doesn't care about any of that as long as his own goals are realized. And again, yeah, and again, he just doesn't care. As long as if it doesn't like benefit his plans, he doesn't care. He has no regard for it. Excuse me. And he's very excuse me, he's very petulant as well. There are many times where he acts like a petulant child. When the emperor sends him to the kingdom of Figaro, to investigate the terrorist disappearance. Now Kefka makes it very well known that he hates the mission. He hates it. Like, he hates the mission. He doesn't care that the orders came from the emperor. He hates the mission completely. Like, he doesn't want to go to the mission desert. He goes anyway, but he just honestly just doesn't care. He complains about it. And he even orders the men that accompany him to dust off his shoes, as if they're as if treating them like they're nothing but his servants, nothing like his things to order about, So he's definitely very maniacal. He's definitely very maniacal. He gives these orders, not giving a shit, not caring that the soldiers don't like him, because they're all afraid of him. They all know that that if they refuse him, he'll snuff them out, just like that, just boom, he'll snuff them out. Just one little spell, like a strong fire spell or a fire free spell, because in Final Fantasy 6 they were called fire free and all that. They would just go, boom, dead. He'll burn them and just leave nothing but their shoes or something. I don't know, but yeah, they live in that fear of him, because they know that despite how calm he acts, he's also maniacal, and he is just a hair's trigger from just snapping and again going, boom, dead. Just dead. Like, so, yeah, Kefka is definitely a character they walk on eggshells around. He's one of those characters where it's basically you don't poke him with a stick. You don't poke him with a stick because he won't just beat you with a stick. He won't just beat you with a stick. He will basically shove the stick down your throat and wrench it out at the other end. Like, Kefka is a guy who just does not care, like, has no regard for life. And again, like, and it also gets shown later when like, because speaking of Figaro as well, like, King Edgar of Figaro actually lies to Kefka, saying, "Oh no, I have no idea about any Terra. Terra's not here. I have no idea about her. I've got no knowledge, you know." And Kefka just does not believe him. He doesn't get fooled. Doesn't believe him, and so he returns. He returns in the dead of night and sets fire to Figaro. There's many innocent women and children and many innocent people there. He just doesn't care. Just sets fire to Figaro. There's no need for him to set fire to Figaro. There's no need for him. He's not fooled by Edgar's lies, but he still does. He doesn't know for a fact that Terra and that are there. But just because he isn't fooled, he has that slight inclination that they might be there. He sets fire to the whole kingdom. Sets fire to the whole kingdom. And just does not care that there's innocent women and children and innocent, the elderly. He doesn't care that he is killing innocents just on the slight chance that the people he is looking for are there. And again, it just shows the constant disregard for life he has towards human life. Like, to him, life is just nothing but something to be snuffed out. Like, just that, If it's not useful to him, bye-bye, just bye-bye. If it's not useful to him, there's no point in existing. He's very Machiavellian, If you don't serve his purposes, you've got no use for him. You've got no reason to live. And he is just honestly, like, he's honestly just, yeah, he's very, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Not nihilistic, but I've already used Machiavellian, but he's just very sick and twisted. He's very sick and twisted. Like, just, again, no regard for human life. Look in the chat. Bronx says, "Be fair, there's only like 24 people in the whole castle, thanks to chronic underpopulation RPGs. So it's pretty obvious Edgar's line about not knowing someone's." Well, yeah, true. But from Kefka's point of view, yeah, like, again, he doesn't know if Edgar is lying or not. He doesn't believe Edgar's lie, but he also doesn't know if he is. He doesn't believe Edgar's lie, but he also doesn't know if he actually is telling the truth either. And so again, just on this slight chance that they're there, he burns Figaro. And it's very stupid. And again, like, another narcissistic. Yes, thank you, Rat, for it. He's very narcissistic. Again, if you can't serve his ends, his means, you're no use to him. He thinks he's above everyone, and this is also shown as well, where he goes in the siege of Doma Castle, where the party member Sion is from. On the seat at the siege of Doma Castle, Kefka forcibly usurps command from General Leo, who is an honorable. He's an enemy to Terra and all that. Excuse me. He's an enemy, but he's an honorable enemy. He fights fairly. He doesn't like dirty tricks. He fights his enemies with honor, face to face. He's an honorable. He's an enemy, but he's a noble enemy. That is General Leo. And Kefka just usurps the command from General Leo to him, because he just does not. He has no respect for Leo. He just doesn't care. He's just like, no, I'm in control. I'm in control here. We're doing this my way. And his way is very messed up, because, again, on the slight chance that the Revengers are there, that the rebellion is there, the Revengers are there, on the slight chance he's there, he poisons the entire water supply of Doma. Again, innocent women, innocent children, innocent elderly. He poisons the entire the entire castle of Doma, just on the slight chance that the Avengers are there. And, like, And even General Leo, even one of his own allies, refused to allow him to use such inhumane tactics. But unfortunately, General Leo was recalled by Emperor Gustave, so Kefka was free to just go, you know what? Poison! It's no, it's like, and how even the soldier who Kefka made administer the poison to the water supply, he didn't want to go through with it. But showing that, showing just how people are scared of Kefka. He does it anyway. He does it. He doesn't want to do it, but he does it because he doesn't want Kefka just going, boom, you're dead, because you disobeyed me. You know you're not going to use to me. Die. Like, he doesn't want Kefka to just smiting him out of existence. And it definitely adds to the, it shows just what kind of power Kefka has, to the point where people are afraid to even just say no to him, like, because they know that he will just burn them without a second thought. And it's also the fact as well is, now I'm pretty sure there's no Geneva Convention in Final Fantasy. I'm pretty sure there's no Geneva Convention or something similar to Final Fantasy. But in this siege, Kefka also doesn't care about any Imperial POWs. He doesn't care about any Imperial prisoners that Doma Castle might have. He doesn't care about rescuing them. He doesn't care about their safety. If they die, they die. He gives no qualms. He gives no shits. He basically just says that if he doesn't care if they survive or not. Honestly, does not care. And it sucks as well. It also adds. Luckily, there was a survivor of Doma Castle, being Cyan. But again, it's the simple fact is of Kefka. Kefka did this again on the slight chance that the returners, not the Revengers, the returners, I got that wrong, that the returners were there, on the slight chance that they were there. And it's, again, it's one of those things where Kefka, like, bear in mind, like I said, this is a city. Doma Castle is a place where, like, there were innocent women and children and elderly, and he just did not care about poisoning them. He had no qualms. And it's to the point where he would gladly step on everyone just to get what he wants. Oh, excuse me. And it gets to the point where even one of his own allies turns against him. The Magitech Knight Celis, who soon becomes a much valued party member to Terra and Locke and that. And yeah, she speaks out against Kefka and his ways. She speaks out against Kefka and his ways, against his maniacal, like, lust for power. She speaks out against him, and because she's had enough. She knows that he has to be stopped. He can't continue. And Kefka, like, and even in defeat, Kefka vows that he would not stop. Like, Kefka knows that he will not stop. And it's the thing is, as well, is Kefka's goals, are to get the most powerful magic in the world. He wants to get the most powerful magic in the world. He wants to unite the warring triad, the three great powers, the three statues. He wants to disturb them so he can gain the power of it. And to go to go for all this, to get all this, he captures Espers. He captures Espers and drains them of their magic. He drains them of their life force to try and to basically power himself up, to try and get their magic so he can get the power needed to get what he wants. And he's not above torturing them. Like, he tortures the Espers before he drains them. He tortures the Espers before he drains them. Even going like with only two known survivors, of his torture of espers, and that is Ifrit and Shiva, who you find in the Magitek research facility. Like and when he's done with them, he doesn't just he's the ones that he doesn't want to kill. He just tosses in the garbage chute. He just tosses in the garbage chute and lets them rot to death. Like having no qualms about their life, about whether they survive, whether they heal or not. He just tosses them away as if they're garbage because he's gotten their power. He doesn't care. Bye bye. Like he doesn't care. He has no regard for it. Again, proving that people are just things to him. People are just tools, stepping stones. He is just they're just stepping stones for his power. And sorry, just stretching. Oh, and even then, when he finds out Terra is half Esper, he like when he finds out Terra's half Esper, he does actually try and capture her as well. He tries to capture her because he wants her power as well. Thankfully, he never gets it. He never gets her power. So thankfully, she manages to avoid that. But it's the fact that he has got no qualms about, and because even though he knows Terra's only half Esper, he still has no qualms about excuse me, about just using her. And and even he even goes as far as well, like like he even goes as far as well as attacking the Esper world, where Terra is actually from. Um, like yeah, like he tries to attack the Esper world to so he can use so he can harness all of their power to go for his own ends. Thankfully, he is stopped because as soon as the gate opens, the Espers carry him away. Yeah, they carry him away, and thankfully, the Espers decimate empire. They decimate the empire. And thankfully, Kefka's actions at Doma do get him imprisoned for war crimes. And of course, again, there's no, as far as I know, there's no Geneva Convention in the world of Final Fantasy, but he does get imprisoned for his war crimes against the Empire because the Emperor found out about his insubordination. He found out about the fact that he usurped Leo's command to poison Doma and basically just do what he wanted. Instead of doing what Leo was trying to do and just investigate if the returners were there. Kefka's just like, no, forget the investigation, poison the water supply, and of course the Emperor doesn't like that, and and of course, and while Kefka is stewing in his cell, the Emperor does actually manage to convince Terra and the friends to locate in the road and getting him to help them getting them to help him find the rogue Espers and try and establish peace because the Emperor does see that he does end up seeing about wanting peace and yeah and it gets bad as well and Kefka then of course reappears at the peace talks, just as both sides reach an understanding. Kefka appears with some Magitech armored soldiers, and basically he kills the Espers. He kills the Espers and seizes their magicite. He just again cold blood kills the Espers, takes their magic. He again showing that he has no regard for life, whether it's Espers or as long as they fuel his plans. And his hatred and destruction is fueled even more on the fact because of the fact that he was imprisoned for doing what he felt was what he wanted to do. He was imprisoned for his torture, his treachery, but his treachery and his maniacal planning. His maniacal acts. And he even lies to Leo and saying he's under the Emperor's orders, which of course everyone knows to be false because the Emperor wanted peace. And and it's not he doesn't just stop there as well, because after he disrupts the peace talks in a town called, he burns the town of Famasa where the peace talks were he burns the town of Famasa where the peace talks were happening. He burns it to the ground. He has no reason to. He has no reason to burn it to the ground, but he orders his troops to burn it down anyway, just because he can. And it just like it's again, it just shows that destruction for Kefka isn't even something he needs. It's a whim. It is a whim. Like he wants it. He wants destruction just because he wants destruction. Like just because it's fun. Just because it's amusing to him. Like it's he goes for this destruction because it gives him kicks. It gives him shits and it gives him giggles, and he it's again, it's all just one big game to him, one big amusing show to him. That's burning a whole town full of innocent people that have done nothing wrong, that they've not slighted the Empire in any way, but he burns the town to the ground because he can, because he likes the destruction. He is amused by it, and he has no regard for life. And he even goes his treachery and cunning and manipulation is even shown as well when we find out that the Gestalt that Leo has been talking to this whole time was an illusion of Kefka. It was an illusion of Kefka. It was an illusion. It was an illusion of Kefka, and he even then just kills General Leo there and then. Just kills one of his old allies, just there and then. No, he's manipulated this ally the whole time with this illusion of Gestalt. And even the Gestalt that wanted peace talks, that was Kefka. That was Kefka. Like, yeah, that was Kefka. Like all along, he was just manipulating them all along, just so he can get what he wanted. And what he wanted was the magicite of the Espers, because but yeah, and even the Espers that go to avenge their fallen comrades at Famasa, Kefka neutralizes them and slaughters them, like claiming their magicite. So again, even the ones that even the ones that just weren't part of the fight but go to help their friends, and because they sense their friends dying, he just slaughters them. And then looking in the chat as well, Rat4 has redeemed. I think you want a drink. Which thank you, Rat4. I will be right back then, because I don't have a drink on me right now, so I'm gonna quickly go get a drink. Okay, apologies. Just gonna might have to edit that out of the video. But yes, so I'm back now, just getting a drink. But yeah, it just goes to show that Kefka again has no regard for anyone who gets in his way, because again, the Espers that sense the death of their friends, Kefka just wipes them out, and then he just wipes them out, takes their magicite, and just uses it to make himself to power. So it just shows that everyone is fodder to him. No, everyone is fuel for his power. He will use anyone for his power. He doesn't care if they die in the process. He will use them. And a lot of this is why Kefka is one of my favorite villains, because I'm someone who, I like a sympathetic villain, don't get me wrong, but my favorite villains are the ones that you don't feel sorry for. My favorite villains are the ones that you can see their reasoning, but you still hate them. I like the villains that are, maniacal, cunning, who maniacal cunning. You don't know. You never know what they're thinking. You never know. You never know what they're thinking. You can never guess what's going on in their head. I like those kind of villains, and Kefka is definitely one of my favorite villains in the series. And he doesn't. And again, he doesn't even stop at those espers because excuse me, just stretching again. Um, because once he has enough magicite, once he has enough power from the magicite, it's then that he puts his plan in action. He goes into the Esper world and he finds what he's looking for. Three statues called the Warring Triad, because the Warring Triad are a trinity of petrified gods who created the Espers, and they were the ones who created magic itself. And Gustav and Kefka, they basically yeah, they raised the island that the Seal Gate was on and to the air, and they to make the floating island, with the Triad at its summit, and they like like Kefka there's a lot to unpack Kefka, so I'm trying to get my words in order, but yeah, Kefka, even after they raised the floating island to the island to floating, Kefka still isn't done with his plan, because he betrays Gustav. He betrays Gustav. He betrays Gustav because Celis does actually try and kill him as well. Celis does try and stop him. He gives Celis eventually tried to talk sense into the Emperor, but he didn't care. The Emperor didn't listen, and he paralyzed everyone except for Celis. Excuse me. But yeah, he paralyzed everyone Celis, and Kefka gives Celis a sword, saying, "Prove your loyalty to us." Of course, Celis just basically gives him the finger and stabs him. But it's at this point where Kefka he calls upon the power of the Warring Triad. He calls upon the power of the Warring Triad, and they do react to him. They do react. They begin to react. Something which should not happen, because the Warring Triad basically make up the world. They help make their power basically help keeps the balance of the world. And Gustav knows this. He orders Kefka to stop, because he knows that awakening the Triad would destroy the world. But Kefka does not care. That's what Kefka wants. Kefka doesn't care that there's no value in destroying the world. He just wants to destroy it. He just wants everything to destroy. He just wants everything destroyed. He wants to destroy everything. He wants to ruin everything. He wants to bring chaos and disorder to the world, just because he can. Just because he likes the destruction. He likes the death. He likes the death, the destruction, the chaos, the havoc. It gets him off. He loves it. Amuses him. There's no deeper meaning behind it. It's simply because Kefka likes the destruction. Kefka, it's like with the Joker of Batman. Hence why I said he is the Joker of Final Fantasy. There's no logical reason to it. It's simply because he likes it. Because he likes the destruction. It amuses him. Whereas the Joker has a deeper meaning behind it, because he's got that connection with Batman, that back and forth with him. Kefka doesn't have that. He has the main characters trying to stop him, but he's got no connection with them. No real back and forth with them. He doesn't care if they stop him. He doesn't care if they live or die, or he doesn't care that the rest of the world. He just wants the destruction. He just wants the death, and it just shows it shows how cracked Kefka's psyche is from the experiments that made him what he is. The fact that, again, he just wants the destruction for kicks, for funsies. And it definitely gives me chills with Kefka. Every time he's on screen, it gives me chills because of how Kefka is. And And it's not even just that as well. Like, he calls down divine lightning from he gets the triad to bring down divine lightning, one of which orders the mortally wounds the emperor, and Kefka just kicks the emperor off the edge, just kicks his former employer off the edge, doesn't care because Gustavo tried to stop him, and also because Gustavo had no place in his plans. He had no place in his plans anymore. He was done. His usefulness had ended. So Kefka's just like, bye bye. Like, it's Kefka. Like I said, anything he can't use, he discards. He discards. He destroys. He gets rid of. All because you serve no use to him. You serve no use in his need for destruction. Looking in the chat as well, Rafa says, good, bad villain is difficult, but some are amazing. Yeah, exactly, yes. Some are amazingly well written and created. Like, excuse me. And again, Kefka is an example of those villains where, yeah, a lot of villains you feel sympathy for. A lot of villains you feel sympathy for, but there's always a need for those villains where because villains were originally villains. A villain is someone you hate. They are made for you to hate them, and Kefka definitely embodies that. He is a villain that you can't feel sorry for. Like, yeah, is it bad that that the magic experiments went that he was the subject of the magic experiments to make him as powerful as he is? Yeah, that was pretty messed up. But does that excuse the things he's done? Definitely not. And it just, again, he is a great example of a villain that is made for you to just hate and despise and want dead. Like, and I would say, as much as people love Kefka as a villain, I would say they definitely hate him as well. They want him dead. They want to end his maniacal destruction, his maniacal chaos and havoc. And the funny thing is as well is Kefka, like Kefka, and Kefka actually does destroy the world. Like, he actually does destroy the world, and in a simple way as well. He moves the statues. Like, he knows full well that moving the statues will disrupt the balance of power. Again, does not care. He moves the statues, and he gets pinned between them. Like, Shadow arrives and begins to push the statues back, and Kefka gets pinned between them. But because the disruption of power has already happened, because the disruption of power has already happened, the world gets destroyed. Like, the world does get destroyed. The world gets the face of the world gets reshaped, killing countless people and animals, and it even scatters the main party across the world. And they're scattered for a year. They're scattered for a year, and in that year, Kefka builds a tower in the former location of the empire's capital, using debris from the Empire Imperial City and the rest of the world's construction. And at the top of the tower, guarded by the Triad, he is draining their magic to become the god of magic. And it's not even just that as well. Atop this tower as well, he is basically ruling as a maniacal god of magic. He is throwing down. He is throwing down lights, literally called the light of judgment. He is literally throwing down light of judgment here and there, like destroying towns and obliterating towns, just because, like whenever they displease him, just because they displease him, So he not only does he crave the destruction, but as the god of magic, he becomes a maniacal tyrant who, again, if you displease him, if you piss him off in any way, light of judgment. Your town is gone. Your town is gone. You're gone. Your friends, your family, your everything, gone. Just because you annoyed Kefka. Just because you displeased him in the slightest. And so it just goes to show that the magic definitely corrupts him even more than he already was. He becomes more maniacal, more he becomes more thirsty for that destruction. And again, has no whims. He has no qualms about using the light of judgment to destroy, to wipe out an entire town off the face of the map, just because they displease him in the slightest, just because they slight him. It's it's definitely like he definitely his the maniacalness and instruction definitely goes up a notch when he becomes the god of magic. Like definitely when it comes to god of magic, and it's not even and he doesn't even stop there as well. Like he destroys the town of Mobles. He attacks South Figaro. Um he attacks South Figaro, where the south of the kingdom of Edgar and Sabin's kingdom. Um, Mostly because again he just can, like just because he can, and and Kefka like again and Kefka and all this time Kefka is just sat at the top of the tower, just basking in the magic, basking in the destruction, basking in the death and the screams of people he's killing, like as if he's listening to the best music ever, like he's listening as if he's listening to music of the gods. Which in this case he is the god, so yeah. And all this time, while the returners are trying to regroup and get while the main party's trying to regroup and that trying to regroup to gear up to try and stop Kefka. Again, he's just at the top of the tower, raining down light of judgment left and right, just because people are pissing him off, just because he's displeased, or even just because he's bored, just because he's bored. He's like, you know what, I don't like that town. Bye. Just because he's bored. And unfortunately, like and it leaves a whole bunch. And his wrath leaves a whole bunch of people basically they have no purpose. And they and even like it gets to the point where some people are even so afraid of his power they form a cult. They form a cult to worship him. And people join this cult either because they're afraid of Kefka's wrath, or just because they have nothing else. Because Kefka's destroyed everything, they've got nothing else. They just join the cult to worship him and say, "Fuck it, he's the god of magic now. What else is there?" And it goes to show just how far Kefka's lust for destruction and his wrath and his maniacal, his maniacal like mind and mindset and behavior goes, to the point where it even causes people to basically just give up on everything and go, what's the point? What's the point? Kefka's just gonna wipe out existence. So what's the point in caring about anything? What's the point about caring my own life? And yeah, it definitely and of course Kefka does not think about this. He never actually thinks about any of these, about any repercussions, because he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care about the repercussions. And it's not even that as well. Like even when the main party fight Kefka, like they destroy the Warren Triad and they fight Kefka, like now the god of magic, he flaunts his power over them and tells the main cast that their lives are meaningless, insignificant. They are nothing to him. Like they're not even worth him looking at, him even acknowledging. And of course they'll give him their reasons for living, but Kefka just doesn't care. He's like, I don't care about your reasons, and he just unleashes light of judgment on the world. And uh, Kefka's like connection to life and death as well is it's even shown in his death as well, because when they beat Kefka, he accepts his death. Like he doesn't freak, he doesn't rage, he doesn't go inconceivable. How could you beat me? This is impossible. No, he just accepts his like he's so obsessed with destruction and death that when he's actually met with his own death, he doesn't care. He's calm. He's calm. He's logical. He's just like he just accepts it. He just accepts that he just accepts that he's dying. He just accepts that it's over. Like, and it's one of the things. It's one of the things that does make me feel for Kefka a bit, because of the fact that, again, he liked all this destruction and death just for fun, but when his own death came, he wasn't laughing. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't amused. He was just accepting of it. Like, this is death. This is my death. This is happening. And he just fades away. Like, he just fades away. And yeah, and it is, it's definitely, and Kefka's death definitely hits harder than, like, when I first completed Final 6. His death definitely hit harder than I thought it would, because the simple fact is, I didn't expect him to accept his death. I played for this entire game seeing this maniacal Harlequin of Havoc, like, craving this death and destruction just for fun, and just to see him, just to finally beat him and just see him accept it, it threw me for a loop. I was just there. I remember just there thinking, wait, so he spent the entire game wanting death and destruction, but but when he dies, it's almost as if he's relieved to die. It's almost as if he had spent this entire game hiding. Like, a theory I've had throughout these years is that Kefka was so obsessed with death and destruction as fun, because, to point, because he wanted his own death and destruction. Like, my theory has always been, like, the way he, like, just accepts his death is almost like that's what he wanted. He wanted his own destruction. He craved his own death and destruction. And it definitely adds to Kefka as a character, because I know I said he's not very sympathetic, but in this case, get sympathetic. Like, because, again, like, if you really look into it, Kefka did just want his death and his own death and destruction. He was so maniacal and narcissistic that he didn't want to just end it himself. But he didn't want to just end it himself. He wanted someone to kill him. He wanted his own destruction, but he couldn't do it at his own hand. And even in his music theme, which many people will know, is called Dancing Mad, and it's Dancing Mad is a very, like, well, his main theme is a theme called Kefka, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a light bouncing beat, like a circus kind of beat. It's upbeat, it's energetic, it's bouncing around. That's Kefka. But then as the song goes on, it becomes louder and more dramatic, like, as if symbolizing his rise in power, or his descent into his further descent into insanity. And then, again, like I said, Dancing Mad is one of the longest scores in the series. Like, it's one of the longest songs in the series. It's one of the longest songs in the series. It's almost as long as One Winged Angel, and, like, each bit of it, like, it's divided into 4 sections, but each bit of it shows, just how like, maniacal and insane he is, because the lyrics of Dancing Mad, they, like, the Black Mages did I did a remix of Dancing Mad, and they put lyrics to it. And the lyrics allude to Kefka's role in destroying the world and his ever-growing insanity. His psyche being destroyed. And Kefka's lust for power and destruction can even be shown in. I have my notes here about his quotes. Like, they can even be shown. They can even be shown in some of his quotes that he does in that he does in I had my notes here somewhere. Like some of his quotes, like he questions like life itself, for example. Um like he questions life itself, he questions life, dreams, and just some of his quotes just they really again speak to his insanity. Where did I leave my notes? One sec. I left my notes here somewhere and I've just lost them. Like yeah, so like yeah, here they are. So yeah, so one of the like again like one of the quotes, for example, I said about how Kefka has no problems just killing people with if they don't serve his purpose. Like one of his famous quotes is "Read my lips. Mercy is for whims. There's a reason oppose rhymes with dispose. If they get in your way, kill them." Like this really embodies Kefka's this it really embodies Kefka's method for handling situations. Like if the enemy isn't following your if the enemy's not listening to your demands, burn their castle. Is this kingdom in the way of your plans? Poison the river. Are these people getting in the way? Snuff them out. That is Kefka. That is Kefka's mo. He has no hesitation and he never skips a beat. He just does it. Like he just again like with Doma. The kingdom's in the way, poisons the river. He poisons Doma Castle just because they're in his way, just because they may be hiding the returners. It's definitely a testament to Kefka's 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 way of handling it, where he won't go like any tactful. He'll just go destruction, death, chaos. Works for me, so I'm gonna do it. And yeah, it definitely just seems like it definitely alludes to his bloodlust and that. Um, yeah, and it's like I said about it's like I said about the returners. They each give their reasons for living, for example. And Kefka, being Kefka, like to their ideas of love, dreams, and hope, Kefka just mocks them. Like he just mocks them. He just goes, and I quote, "Blech, you people make me sick. You sound like lines from a self-help book. If that's how it's going to be, I'll snuff them all out. Every last one of your sickening, happy little reasons for living." Like, again, like like this quote is very in line for Kefka's jokey nature, but it also shows how frustrated he's getting with the cast's fleeting emotions. Like their fleeting dreams, their fleeting hopes, their fleeting love. Like the things that he seen that to him are fleeting and nonsensical. They're not important or insignificant. He just gets frustrated of them, and that quote definitely says it. And it's not even it's and like it's like oh my neck, and like and this quote as well that this quote I found it shows his monument, it shows his will to just destroy everything, raise everything to the ground. Like when he's destroying areas and morphing the landscape and using the use he's got the power of the warring triad. He is raising it. He's elevating himself up on a blazing spire. He just states, "I will destroy everything. I will create a monument to non-existence." Like, so that's and again that also shows just how much he wants that destruction, just how much he wants that death and destruction, to where he will just create non-existence. And I said about how he has no qualms about killing people. He's got no qualms about sacrificing people. This quote I found really emphasized that as well, where he goes, he, but what fun is destruction if no precious lives are lost? Again, empathizing that he does not care if innocent lives are lost as long as his plans as long as his plans come to fruition. He does, and the fact that, and if no precious lives are lost, if no innocent lives are lost, he doesn't see any point in it. He doesn't see any fun in it. To him, it's only destruction is only fun if innocent people die, adding more to his insanity and his maniacal, lust for destruction, his maniacal craving for that death and destruction. And and I spoke about Doma Castle. I spoke about Doma Castle and the poison, him poisoning the river. One line he says after he poisons the river always kind of haunted me. Nothing can beat the music of hundreds of voices screaming in unison. So like he it's not just like it's not just the fact it's not bad enough that he poisoned the entire of Doma Castle again just on the chance of that returns there, leaving just one survivor, which is Cyan. He basically enjoyed it as if he was listening to a symphony, as if he was listening to music, as if he was listening to Beethoven or Mozart. To him, it was just sweet music, and it definitely adds to the twistedness of it. Like again, to him, death is nothing but a song for him to enjoy. It's nothing but music for him to vibe to. It definitely shows Kefka's complete disregard for life. And I know I've said like quite a few quotes here, but there's two more that really stick out to me. There's two more that really emphasize Kefka's insanity and his nonsensicalness about life and dreams and hope. His amusement of destruction. And the two quotes again really stood out the most to me. And the first one is, "And time will destroy all of those as well. Why do people insist on creating thing?" And because people will say that they'll just rebuild. They will just rebuild that everything destroyed. And then Kef just goes, "And time will destroy all of those as well. Why do people insist on creating things that will never to be destroyed? Why do people cling to life, knowing that they must someday die? Knowing that none of it will have meant anything once they do?" And that line really struck a chord with me growing up. Like, that line really struck a chord with me because he's not wrong. Like, like in this insanity, like in the insanity that is Kefka, and the maniacalness that is Kefka, there's that philosophical side of him where behind the insanity, behind the lust for destruction and the power and the death and the maniacal clown, there's that philosophical side of him. Like, there's that philosophical side of him that he actually has a point when he asks, "Why do people cling to life, unknowing they must someday die?" It's a darker kind of philosophy, but the more you look at it, the more you realize he actually isn't wrong. Like, so despite his insanity, he definitely has a deeper insight into death and into life and death and destruction. And the last quote that really got me, like the last quote that really, really got me, that really made me go, that really made me think just deep, how deep of a character he is, despite his insanity and despite his, again, lust for destruction, his death, and his nihilism, like his narcissistic nihilism. Like, because right before the final battle with the returners, he drops this line on them. Before the battle begins, he drops this line on them: "Life, dreams, hope. Where do they come from and where do they go? Such meaningless things. I'll destroy them all." And it's one of those quotes where, like, it stuck with me because, again, it makes sense. It makes sense the more you think about it. Like, where do they come from? Where do they go? Where does life come from? Where do dreams come from? Where do hope come from? And where do they go? Like, it's one of those thought-provoking things where it really makes you think. But then when you realize that the person that made you think about this, the person that has you thinking about this, that has you, you know, deliberating this, debating this in your head, going, hang on, trying to make sense of it. The person who is doing this is the nihilistic and insane Kefka, a man who is so insane that he actually makes sense as well. He's got a deeper understanding of life, death, hopes, dreams, and and although he's insane to the max, although he is absolutely insane to the max, he shows this in these dialogues, in these quotes, that although he's insane and has a lust for destruction and death and the crushing of hope, although he is insane and has all of these, like the urge to just destroy for fun, there's behind all this insanity, there is a man who is actually questioning all of this. Like, what is the point of living if you are going to die? He questions he is there answering the questions that many people themselves ask, but no one wants to think about it. And it definitely shows that, and it alludes it. I personally find that it alludes to the fact that, oh, excuse me, and I find that it alludes to the fact that Kefka may actually be depressed. Like, he may actually have depression throughout Final Fantasy VI. Like, he may actually have depression because of the way he speaks, of the way he questions life and dreams and hopes, and whether or not they're actually worth doing anything, whether they're actually worth pursuing. And yeah, it all just adds to the fact. It all just adds to Kefka's character of, that insane clown. That insane clown that, again, craves destruction and death for fun. He craves the death and destruction, again, for fun. But the more you go for the game, the more you realize that it's less for it's not just for fun. It's also because he is just insane, because and it all stems from the Magitech experiments that he was a part of. The very first Magitech experiment that he was part of that had the imperfect process. It all stems from that, and it just shows that there's a lot to unpack with Kefka. There's a lot to unpack with him, and he's not just the maniacal villain everyone makes him out to be. There's a deeper meaning to him. There's a deeper personality to him. And he brings forth those questions that, is life really worth living if you are going to just die? Is it really worth having hopes and dreams if they're just going to disappear? Or building something if it's just going to be destroyed? He is a character who really makes you question these things. Makes you question things that you normally wouldn't think of or you normally wouldn't consider. Like, questions that many people would say are bad to question. He makes you think as, oh, maybe what if he has a point? What, like, I know it's definitely made me think of, like, it's definitely added to, like, for me, like, it's definitely added to, like, my lack of fear of death, like my lack of fear of, of death and stuff like that. It's definitely added to me because it's helped me realize that we're all going to die someday. Like, we're all going to die someday, it's all going to be just snuffed out. And I know it sounds pessimistic, but one of the reasons why I have come to terms with this is because of Kefka. It's because he's made me think, he's made me think that maybe our life, the end of life, isn't something we should be scared of, but something we should embrace when the time comes. Something that, it's something that, like, yeah, I can have hopes, but I should accept when I should be more accepting of, if those hopes ever get crushed, I should just accept it. I shouldn't fight against it. I shouldn't try and I sometimes, like, it's one of those things where life isn't straightforward. Life isn't, like, Kefka's helped me realize that life isn't gonna always work out the way you want, and sometimes and sometimes you just need to accept it, and then move on to the next stage, whatever that may be. It's it's definitely helped me become. And Kefka has definitely helped me become more of a realist because he has made me have these thought provoking questions in my head. Again, like, is it meaningless to struggle? Like, is it meaningless to struggle when things are going to end up a certain way? Like, Kefka is definitely one of those characters who he's definitely one of those characters who really makes you think. Despite the insanity, he leaves such an impression on you that he makes you question if he actually has a point or if it is just blind insanity. Um, I mean, look at the chat. Yeah, Rapper says it's more realistic in his honest opinion, and yeah, that's what I like to think. I like to think it's an honest outlook of the world. Like, one day we will die, and I have personally come to accept it, mostly because Kafka has helped me realize that I should just accept it. But unlike Kafka, I enjoy my life. I enjoy my life each day. But yeah, Kafka definitely makes you think about, like, even in his own twisted way of loving destruction and having the fun in destruction, he is basically enjoying his life because he doesn't want to die, because he knows that one day he will die. So he, in his own way, he is just enjoying life. It's it's although it's destruction and death that gives him fun, he's still just enjoying life. Like, he knows that he's not going to stay forever. Um, and even when he becomes a god of destruction, even then he knows that someone will bring him down, someone will stop him, and he just, yeah. But it definitely adds to his reasonable insanity. I want to say, his logical insanity. His logical insanity. And Bronx says, unwillingness to accept a world that doesn't include them is a common theme in F of villains. Yeah, exactly. Like Kuja. Kuja's another example. Narcissistic, nihilistic. Kuja doesn't care. He just wants his power. Kefka and Kuja are definitely from the same vein, although Kuja is less insane. And there's just a lot to unpack with Kefka. There's a lot to unpack with Kefka, and I can easily say that he's possibly my favorite villain in the series. He's possibly my favorite villain in the series. I I would say he's possibly tied with Kuja though. He's possibly tied with Kuja because while they're both similar, Kuja just has more of a presence for me. He has more of a presence, but Kefka's definitely made his impact on the FF community because of his insanity and his nihilism. Kind of starting with Square learning about Nero and Caligula and thinking, that's interesting. Yeah, he basically has similarities with Emperors Nero and Caligula from Roman history. They were both maniacal rulers who did not care and just enjoyed the fun and the death that they brought, and their insanity. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack with Kefka. And he honestly, and all of this is just one of the reasons why I think he is one of the best villains in the series. And I urge anyone who hasn't played Final Fantasy VI to play Final Fantasy VI and experience for themselves and witness for themselves the insanity that is Kefka. And if you have played 6, I recommend playing the Dissidia games, because the Dissidia games also go further into his backstory. Like you see more of his maniacal side, and his and the twisted depression behind his insane acts. And he even quotes his final words in Dissidia. And the fact that it's voiced, his voice is so melancholic. Like when he says that line in Dissidia, his voice is so melancholic, you can't help but feel for him, because you know that he's got a point. Like that, through that melancholy, he has a point. And if you don't want to play Dissidia, I recommend looking up the line. I think it's like Terra's. I think it's Terror Story in Dissidia, like the end of it, where after she fights him, he says the life, hopes, and dreams, and the why cling to life only to die line, like because he actually says why cling to life only to die, why create only to destroy, and then he says the life, hopes, and dreams line, and again because it's voiced, because it's voiced, you can hear the melancholy in his voice, and it just hits harder because he has that melancholy, because that melancholy just adds to his maniacal and his insanity, but it adds to the depression tones behind his insanity. But yeah, I honestly, I've covered everything I can say about Kefka. I Again, I definitely suggest to people to go and play Final Fantasy 6 if you can, or go and watch the clip from Dissidia that I said about, and so you can see for yourself just what I mean when I say, he sounds very melancholic when he says his lines. But yeah, if for those on YouTube who are watching this on YouTube, feel free to say in the comments what you think about Kefka. Like, what were your impressions of Kefka when you first played 6, or or if you've seen him in elsewhere, like what are your impressions of him? And I hope, and for those on Twitch and YouTube, I hope that you guys will join me next month as well, where because it'll be the month of May. Because it'll be the month of May, we're going to talk about the Rose of May. We're going to talk about the Rose of May, General Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX. We're going to talk about her. We're going to go in depth about her personality, we're going to talk about her personality, her history, her place in the game, and I'm even going to talk about possible theories of I'll talk about possible theories of what I think may happen and what I would like to happen if the Final Fantasy IX remake does in fact actually go through. I will talk about things that I would love to see happen with Beatrix in Final Fantasy IX remake. Raphael says, can you do his laugh? It is delightful. Unfortunately, I cannot do his laugh. I've never been good at his voice. I've never been good at his voice or his laugh. But unfortunately, you'd have to look up on YouTube. Unfortunately, but yeah, like his laugh is definitely like iconic. Bronx says, never picked Dissidia, so Kefka voice or Mark Hamill Joker voice for me. Fair. No, that would fit, to be honest. Mark Hamill would fit him. Which way I voice on my playthrough. This general malicious insanity fits, and it ties to the Dark Knight. Some men want to watch the world burn. Exactly. And Kefka just wants to be the one to burn the world. For those who are, and funny enough, for those who are fans of Naruto, in the Dissidia games, and this might throw you, for fans of Naruto, in the Dissidia games, he is voiced by the same guy who voices Kakashi Hatake in Naruto. So you not only do you get the insanity and the melancholy in his voice, but you get it with the same voice that did Kakashi Sensei from Naruto. And I think Naruto fans will definitely have an impact on Naruto. Oh yeah, the English dub. Yeah, the English dub voice. The English dub voice of Kakashi Hatake did Kefka in Dissidia games, and again, it hits hard. It hits hard because again, you get to hear the melancholic thing in his tone. But like I said, I'm going to wrap it up. And like I said, next month we are going to talk about General Beatrix and what I think. We'll go in depth about General Beatrix, and we will. I'm going to discuss what I would like to see happen with her in Final Fantasy IX remake if it ever does get confirmed. But thank you for watching, everyone. I hope I've helped you get a lot of insight into Kefka Palazzo and the abyss that is his insanity. I hope, and thank you everyone on Twitch for watching. Thank you everyone on YouTube for watching. For those on YouTube, I hope you will leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I hope that you guys will join me next month on the 4th of May for when we talk about one of the greatest female characters in Final Fantasy. But thank you for joining me, everyone. thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining me, everyone, on Twitch. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your evening on Twitch. And for whatever day it is on for those listening on YouTube, I hope you enjoy whatever time it is that you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next month on the Eidolon Wall.